I'm in the Tosohatchee Wildlife Management Area. It froze again last night. Ooh, I'm so glad I'm not tenting it. Anyway, it's a beautiful day and I'm excited. I'm refreshed. Yesterday, after my grueling day, I ended up with a big headache at night in the evening. So that's a lesson. I gotta drink. I gotta make sure I keep hydrated and take food with me when I know it's gonna be a long trek. That is a lesson well learned. Just before Moses and Aaron went to meet with Pharaoh for the first time, they gathered all the elders of the Israelites together and told them what God had said would happen. They were going to leave Egypt and get out of bondage. They also showed them the signs that God had demonstrated to Moses, like his rod becoming a snake. When they realized that the Lord really did care about them in their affliction, they bowed their heads and worshipped. So after Moses and Aaron was accepted by the elders of Israel as their God-appointed leader, the two leaders proceeded to Pharaoh and secured a hearing before the king. This is a pretty thick woods in here, but I can see the pathway. Ancient records make it clear that it was not easy for a commoner to obtain an audience with the king, but Moses' former experience at court must have stood him in good stead, for he knew how to approach the king. When they got to Pharaoh, they said, "The Lord God of Israel says, 'Let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness.'" Pharaoh's response was, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go." Pharaoh was either ignorant of the name of the God of the Israelites, or he pretended to be. However that may have been, he felt superior to any foreign god. This is beautiful. A tranquil oasis. Had not his father and grandfather oppressed the Israelites without interference by their God? Why should he trouble himself to take heed of a God so obviously disinterested in his own people and apparently unable to help them? Yay, a nice bridge. Like, really nice. Beautiful cypress trees. So they tried a different tactic to tug on Pharaoh's heart and said, "The God of Israel met with us, and if we do not go into the desert and offer sacrifices to him like he's asked us to, he may afflict us with the pestilence or the sword." But that didn't work. Pharaoh said to them, "Moses and Aaron, why do you take the people away from their work? Now get back to your labor." Not only that, but he got real cranky and told his taskmasters to no longer supply the straw for the brick making, and yet the Hebrews had to still make the same amount of bricks. When a couple of days went by and they were unable to fulfill their quota, the Hebrew officers, who were the bosses of the children of Israel, were beaten by the taskmasters. So they approached Pharaoh and cried to him and said, "Why are you dealing with us like this? It is unreasonable to expect us to make the same amount of bricks when we have to supply our own straw." But Pharaoh said, "You are idle when you say that you want to go sacrifice to your God. Now get back to work and make the same bricks and get your own straw." So the officers realized they were in trouble because there was no way they could fulfill Pharaoh's command. When they got out of their meeting with Pharaoh, they ran into Moses and Aaron and said, "Let the Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us abhorrent in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, to put a sword in their hand to kill us." So Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Why have you brought trouble on the people? And why is it you have sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people, and neither have you delivered your people." Moses' words did not reflect a spirit of displeasure or insubordination, but rather a spirit of perplexity and inquiry. The question and complaint proceeded from a faith that could not understand the dealings of God. And now look what I'm up against again today. It's just gotta be done. Another muck-sucking day. And the water's cold this morning. Whoa. It is very silty, so you really sink down. But it's beautiful. Isn't it beautiful in here? Oh, there's my blaze. There's my next blaze. It's over here. Oh, this is so fun. So surreal, actually. Walking amongst the cypress trees and the palm trees. Whoa, a little slippery. Yay. At the same time, Moses appealed for help in this hour of need and for the removal of what seemed contrary to God's nature and his will. Just so long as there is no water moccasins slithering around, I am happy camper. I don't mind this. We can take some lessons here. Who else has questioned God about the difficult times they are currently going through? I know I have. But instead of grumbling and complaining, we can pour out our hearts to God and seek comfort and solace from him. You see, the Hebrews had expected to obtain their freedom without any special trial of their faith. But God knew they were not yet ready for deliverance. Many were content to stay in bondage rather than meet the difficulties of moving to a strange land. So God did not deliver his people with Moses' first plea to Pharaoh because he wanted the people to see how tyrannical the king could be. God wanted the people to want to go. Sometimes people are stuck in their comfort zones, not realizing how awful their situations really are. How many of you have driven around neighborhoods that are so trashy and dumpy, but it seems like people like living that way, even though it's not ideal sanitary conditions? They are just too lazy to clean up. Maybe when we are going through trials, it's God's wake-up call to us to have a closer relationship with him and to call out to him and to want to get out of our troubles. There's a tractor behind me making that racket, but this is still a pretty unique bridge. Pretty special. Except it's by power lines. Maybe there are reasons why God allows us to go through trouble sometimes. What about COVID? What can we learn from this? It seems to be separating the sheep and the goats, that's for sure. Maybe God's preparing his people, those who call out to him during this time. Good for you. Instead of blaming him, call out to him. I've been sparing you guys the details most of the way, but this is what I've been walking through for quite a lot of the day today. So, not as horrible as yesterday, but still wet. Well, I am going to try and cross this log. It's a bit precarious. I've got you in one hand and my poles in the other hand. Let's see if I can balance. All right. Yes. Thank you, log. And then we get some dry sections too. Thru trail. Well, yes, I guess that's me. It is just a wet day, but it's beautiful out. No complaints. This is deep, man. Deep. Deep. Well, deep in my books. Almost to the knees. I guess not that deep. 12.2 miles today with the first mile on the bicycle. I must admit I'm pretty weary. Going through water is pretty hard work. And I'm ending it now because there starts a 30-mile bike ride next. So I'm going to save that for tomorrow. So, if you are going through difficulties right now, instead of blaming God, why not ask him to deliver you and to show you how you can grow from the situation? Just a thought. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.